Hey, it's Joe Biden. Look, here's the deal. I don't really understand what podcasts are, but when I do listen to them, it's only to Happy Foot, Sad Foot. It's the only phone radio for me. Also, you know I'm straighter than an Oklahoma interstate, but I would let Dennis Bwanga. Please let me know if you want me to go through with that drone strike on the LA Galaxy. They've had it coming for a while now.
Welcome to Happy Foot, Sad Foot, the only LAFC podcast that paid off a bunch of Galaxy players to get a bunch of red cards. I'm Travis Hellwig.
And I'm Darren Miller. Welcome to our preview of this week's El Tráfico, the first of the season, LAFC versus the Carson Galaxy, which takes place this Sunday at 1:30 p.m., an hour outside of LA down in Carson at Dignity Health Sports Park. It'll be available to watch on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV Plus, or, if you're my parents listening, on Fox. And as always, we'll be live streaming 10 minutes after the game with our post-game call-in show on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@HappyFootSadFoot. Subscribe there now. You can get notified when we go live and join the party.
Later in the show, we'll be joined by Tommy Alter, co-host of the podcast The Old Man and the Three with JJ Redick, and we'll try to convince him that El Tráfico is one of the biggest rivalries in America, and we'll also finally pay out the first ever Bet It and Forget It bet that hit. But first, we don't want to do it, but you motherfuckers demand it. It's time for listener-mandated banter. Darren?
Oh, no. I hate talking.
I hate talking to my friend.
Oh, no, I don't like talking to my friend in a way that's recorded for the podcast we decided to do.
Hey, I have an idea for the banter.
What's up?
You're going to Vegas this weekend, so you're not going to be at the game.
Oh, that's true.
What are you doing? Where are you staying?
I'm staying at Cosmo.
Great
the
place
Cosmopolitan.
to stay.
Where should I watch the game? I don't know what I'm going to do. Circa?
Go to the sports book. Oh yeah, I mean you could go to
Okay.
Circa, but it's going to be hard to do the live stream probably from there.
I'll do the live stream from the pool, baby. It's Vegas.
Please do that. Ooh, please do that. It's just going to be like the fucking
so
chain
funny.
smokers in the background.
Watch me do it, and it hits me with a green screen, like trying to pretend like I'm in Vegas.
You're so clearly just like hiding from your family.
Yeah.
Ugh. Well, that feels like enough banter, huh? Let's start the show.
If you ask me, there's no greater calling in one's life than raising a family. Sure, I work a full-time job, but nothing makes me feel more like a man than seeing my 3 beautiful children experiencing brand new life moments for the first time. I look into their eyes, and I know I'm making a difference, guiding 3 children into adulthood with honor, grace, and dignity, doing my absolute best to make sure they greet each day with kindness and gratitude. Meanwhile, Travis is sleeping till 10:30, jerking off and going back to sleep until noon. Somewhere along the line, he reads everything there is to read about the upcoming LAFC match this week, and since my time is full up from the tear-welling joyousness I experience with my bouncing babies, Travis fills me in on what he's learned in a segment we call Storyline.
You were slightly off. I jerk off while reading about LAFC, but
Well, that's so much more efficient.
well, I have to sleep. I need
And you got to get turned on.
Bwanga.
Oh, no. I walked right into that one.
Darren, here are the storylines for today's game or this week's game. Darren,
I wish it was today.
you know it. I know it. That weird little gremlin Taylor Twellman knows it. The game this Sunday is the single most important game we've played all season long. Why? Well, in storyline 1, I'll tell you. It's because Sunday is El Tráfico. We did a full deep dive into the history of the rivalry between LAFC and the LA Galaxy in our Rose Bowl preview episode that got rained out. So if you want to know more about why it's called El Tráfico and why people that dislike that name are dorks, go back and listen to that episode. I think it was episode 2 called Boycott Going to Carson. We also played a very fun game about why Carson is a terrible place, which is now up on YouTube and Instagram if you want to watch. But since we did that deep dive already, I'll give you only, Darren, the broad strokes. El Tráfico is the biggest rivalry in American club soccer and easily the biggest sports rivalry in Los Angeles. We are two teams with large fan bases that hate each other and players that actively buy into how important these games are to the fans. It's one of the few MLS games that every fan of the league tunes in for. And in the 5 years we've been in the league, there's already been 2 playoff El Tráficos, and LAFC has won both, baby. But the truth is, in the regular season, the Galaxy sort of have our number. Of the 13 regular season Tráficos so far, we've only won twice, and they've won 6 times. I'm sorry, those are just the cold hard facts. It doesn't feel like that recently because we beat them in the playoffs, but that's how it goes. But the history of El Tráfico is for once not the big storyline of this game. It's just the backdrop. There's other reasons this week's game is the single most interesting storyline of any game in the league so far this season, Darren. I'm saying it.
Please, go ahead. I'm right there with you.
That storyline is this. Our two teams could not be in more different positions. LAFC is ascendant. We have absolutely taken over the city of Los Angeles. Our merch is everywhere. Our games are electric. And we have played exceptional soccer since we've came into the league.
You had me at merch, baby.
You had me at If people were in merch, that means they're winning. Cool Hat FC. We're coming off a winning MLS Cup and a Supporter Shield last season. We are one of 2 teams still defeated this season, despite playing 4 extra games in the Champions League, which we are now in the semifinals of. Alexis Guerreros of the Cooligans said this week on his new show, Morning Footy, that this is already LAFC's city. The Galaxy are now the noisy neighbors. Why? Because the LA Galaxy is in the middle of the single worst moment in the history of their franchise. The Galaxy have yet to win a single game this season, losing 3-0 away to Houston, a team that's pretty good, but they still lost 3-0 against a team they should probably have beaten. And to make matters worse, 2 of their starters or good players got red cards last week for absolutely insane things. Martin Caceres was given one for running up to the ref at the VR screen, yelling at him and touching him, which you're 100% not allowed to do to the referee. And then
VAR. You said VR. Yeah. That would be even worse.
I said VR? Oh, that would be fucking sick.
I heard VR. That would be even worse. The ref was like, who was that?
The ref's like, wow, this VR is getting really good. I feel like I'm being assaulted.
It's like I'm really at the game. Whoa, it's like I'm really being assaulted. Both of those things really happened. Okay.
That was a second yellow given to Martin Caceres. He got the red. Later in the game, their failure DP Brazilian Douglas Costa got a red that seemed to basically just be him not wanting to play anymore. In the 95th minute of extra time, already down 3, and while the ball was out of bounds, he grabbed an opponent around the neck and threw him to the ground for literally no reason. It made no sense that he did it.
It was like soccer seppuku.
Well, some fans were saying that he had like a party or wedding to go to, but I do want to point out that he lives in Los Angeles and it's Coachella this weekend, and I wouldn't put it past a man who doesn't care about his team to want to go to Coachella.
That would be insane. Easy crowd to get lost in. Not get noticed.
And so basically 2 of their starters will not be available for the game this Sunday. In the preview of the Rose Bowl match, I made a big deal about how good I thought the LA Galaxy secretly were. Puig and Joveljic were 2 young stars who looked unstoppable at the end of last year. I said Puig might be even the best player in the league. Turns out I'm a fucking idiot. So far, neither of them has stood out at all. Puig has sort of shown signs of real dissatisfaction on the pitch. But that's sort of just the story on the pitch. The story off the pitch is even juicier, and you know that's what I care about. I don't care about soccer. Give me the drama, baby. Give me the good stuff. Give me the juice.
So, Jason Concepcion came on the podcast and formally ordered the juice.
And so far, it's been working.
That worked. I feel like it did ramp up. There
was the guy on FC Dallas that cheated on his girlfriend and got caught and had to like miss the game against LAFC. All this Galaxy stuff is getting really juicy. Here's what it is. So to
Yep.
start the season, the supporter groups of the club, who honestly are hard to notice anyways, announced a boycott of all home games. I mean, there's a reason, like, I lived in Los Angeles before LAFC and I went to 2 Galaxy games and the vibe sucked. It's a lame vibe and everyone knows it. We've elevated their game a little bit, but they literally just say LA, Galaxy, back and forth. It's not, they suck. They lame. Also, one of their groups is named after the LA Riot Squad, which is a direct reference to the police during the Rodney King riots, which it's like,
Wait,
that's who
really?
you want. Well, they're called the LA Riot Squad. The Los Angeles riot is a very famous, like the Rodney King riots were the famous Los
Yeah.
Angeles riots,
The
and there were ones
squad is
back
like police
in the
squad, not
60s too.
like, yeah, it's not like a protest squad. It's like a police squad.
Yeah, it like the
Squadron.
riot squad work for the. It sucks that they did this.
Yeah,
is what I'm
that
saying.
sucks.
But so they announced a boycott of all home games until the club fired team president Chris Klein. Chris Klein, you pointed out last time, is also the name of the 4th most important character in American Pie. I remain unsure if they're the same person.
It could be.
We don't know.
The era checks out.
He was also the jock in that movie, so maybe it's right. So it's too complicated to get into the full nitty gritty, but the simplest explanation is that Klein took over the team. Since Klein took over the team, the Galaxy have been absolutely terrible. People were calling on him to be fired last season, but instead he got a 5-year extension despite being suspended and getting all these penalties from MLS for a bunch of fucking illegal things he did to sign a player that didn't work out anyways. This 5-year extension then triggered the boycotts. The results of the boycotts so far this season have been mixed. More casual fans have been showing up to the games. And so while the crowds have been quiet, they have not necessarily been sparse crowds. However, there's real signs that the front office is starting to feel the heat, especially leading up to this rivalry game. Last week, they held meetings with supporters to try and convince them that they had a plan while keeping Chris Klein in his job. And earlier this week, Chris Klein sent an email to season ticket holders asking them to please support the team, passing the blame onto coach Greg Vanney, and promising to step aside if the team doesn't do better than they did last year, which was winning 1 round in the playoffs. Something he doesn't bring up, though, is that the playoffs are expanding this year. So doing better than winning 1 round in the playoffs is actually easier this year than it was last year. But, I think he wants to keep his job. But this new front office plan that they've been giving to supporters centers around a guy named Will Kuntz, the former assistant general manager here at LAFC, who was just hired as the LA Galaxy's new VP of player personnel. This upset a lot of fans in the LAFC world because he was sort of considered like an important person in the front office. He worked at the Yankees beforehand, and it was somewhat confusing why he agreed because this job was sort of a lateral move and not a promotion. Galaxy fans started tweeting that the move was proof that everyone would still rather be at the Galaxy. However, something friend of the foot, Kellen Parker, pointed out to me is that in an interview with The Athletic this week, Will Kuntz said this, quote, "I was a free agent in January. My time with LAFC had come to a close and I was assessing my other options." That doesn't sound like someone who chose to leave LAFC. That sounds like someone who wasn't asked back to LAFC. Maybe he's not as good as we thought, folks.
Yeah, or any reason. It just it definitely takes them poaching him off the table. Like anything that they could be proud of for the move is kind of off the table.
He was unemployed. When he took the job. And that makes the lateral career move make more sense though, right? It didn't make sense that he would take the same job in a different team, but he didn't have a job. So any job was better. But
or they did poach him in a way that's totally unethical or maybe even against some rules. And the story is that he was a free agent already.
That could be true.
Played it the right way.
Well, they're famously
he is dirty enough to be part of that organization. Anyway, go ahead.
Slithery snake. Even after this meeting and the email, the Galaxy supporter groups have made it clear they won't stop boycotting until Klein is gone. They actively responded to that letter he sent out saying, "We just want you gone." Some on Reddit are actively encouraging season ticket holders to sell their tickets to LAFC fans this weekend. We might be playing in Carson on Sunday, but there is a very big chance that the only fans you hear or see all game will be rooting for LAFC. Carson, our home away from home.
Our vacation home.
The absolute worst place to buy a vacation home.
The Airbnb return is okay. We're the landlords, I guess, if you think about it. I'm having trouble with this because the the supporters group standing their ground is making me respect them more.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
for
know what
sure.
to do about that.
Well, no, I mean, I think there's a weird, if it was any other club doing it, I would be fully on board. Like when the
Yeah.
Columbus Crew saved their team, fully on board. And I think, in a void, if you said, hey, is it good that the supporters are showing their power and unionizing in the way that they can? I would say yes, 100%. But not in a void as an LAFC fan. Klein in, baby. I want them there as long as possible.
Yeah, you want chaos.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
mean, like, happy that we're filling that void. But all that bullshit front office noise brings us to our last storyline 3, which is the scariest of all, which is that this game feels like we're walking into a fucking trap, right? LAFC are rolling and the Galaxy are the laughing stock of the league, probably for the first time in their entire existence. We're overconfident and we're playing with tired legs. The Galaxy have their backs against the wall and would do anything to win a game. Both teams understand what's at stake here. And that's going to put a lot of people in their heads on both sides. 2 starters getting red cards very much could be bad, but it also could be a wake-up call for the Galaxy. And Puig and Joveljic might see this as a game where they can finally show their worth on a larger stage. And Chicharito, who's been sidelined with injuries, is finally back. And he always plays really hard in El Tráfico, even if that just means running around a lot. But like I said last Carson preview episode, this team actually has some really impressive pieces. They haven't shown it so far, but it would be dumb to assume we're just going to roll over them. I would like to, but it's stupid to assume that will definitely happen, especially because we've never won there.
Oh boy. You always bring it with the with the caveat.
I mean,
could their entire first part of their season be just an elaborate honeypot situation?
It's a
Where they're
rope-a-dope.
like, wow, LAFC, really impressive start to the season. Look how terrible we are. Bet you want to come into our stadium and beat the hell out of us.
The
And then
Trojan
just
horse.
destroy us.
I hate that, what you just said. I really hate that.
Like, what a useless setup. I mean, I don't know. Of course, I want to win this game more than anything, but like, our first loss of the season is not going to be a huge problem. Like, we're going to keep rolling.
I read a thing today that we've played them 3 times having been unbeaten, and we've lost all 3 times. So this is our 4th attempt playing them while having been unbeaten. And the biggest hurdle we face is the last remnants of the El Tráfico curse. We've destroyed most of them, but still in our 6 years we've been in the league, we've never won a single El Tráfico in Carson. We've won 2 regular season games and 2 playoff games, and none of them have been at Dignity Health Sports Park. So while it's true, our fans are going to be louder, we're still playing in a stadium that we've never won in. But if we can finally win in Carson, the last domino of that old "we can't beat the Galaxy" narrative will finally fall, and the Carson fans will have to go back to calling us Chivas USA, a team they much more resemble closely than us these days. So this Sunday, Darren, there's a real chance LAFC will either be the final nail in the coffin of Chris Klein or Greg Vanier's tenure at the Galaxy, or it's possible the team can rally around this moment and might turn their season around by finally beating us at home a game. Again, this game is one that you cannot miss, even if you're at the pool in Las Vegas.
Oh my God, it's going to be the best. Dignity Health Sports Park. Every word of that is a misnomer. Just realized.
I mean, sports get played there.
You could call it, if you're generous, you're calling it sports.
Yeah. I always call it
It's
StubHub
sports
Center,
themed,
but
for sure.
It was StubHub and then Home Depot. They changed their name a lot, I think, because it's a bad place to be associated.
Taking shots in the dark. Yeah.
Well, those are the storylines for this week's El Tráfico. When we come back, I play a game about El Tráfico with Tommy Alter from The Old Man and the Three. And we're back. He's the host of The Old Man and the Three with JJ Redick and Tommy Alter, which is maybe the most important podcast in the NBA. And he's a man who somehow knows every single famous person that exists. Please welcome to the show, Tommy Alter. Tommy, how you doing?
Travis, what's up? What's up,
nice
man?
To see you,
I'm very excited to be here.
I know you've done a bunch of research.
I don't go on many shows. This is a rare. People don't ask me very much, so I got this, and this is like an easy yes.
I think everyone refers to your podcast as the Tommy Alter podcast.
Yeah, I think nobody does. Maybe just you. Maybe one person.
Tommy, tell everyone about the Old Man and the Three if they don't know about it.
So the Old Man and the Three, we started it out of the bubble. It's a podcast that JJ and I co-host. JJ has been doing podcasts for a while since playing for the Clippers. I linked up with him to start the show in 2019. We were doing it for The Ringer for a while, and then we started 342 Productions out of the bubble in Orlando in August of 2020, and we've done now 160 plus episodes, and it's mostly players, mostly NBA focused, but every once in a while we'll throw a couple curveballs in there, and we'll have some other athletes or people from other fields. And it's cool. It's like, I will say this about doing one of these things, with JJ in particular. A lot of players have done shows now, but he was the first one to do it by a couple of years. And so I think that has helped us, gain a little bit of, I think, traction, both with fans and stuff like that, but then also, with the players themselves. I think that they just been following it for a little bit. So it's been fun.
You're also both good interviewers.
Oh, thank you. I think we should add that the person who hosts this show was very helpful to us when we started the podcast in terms of brainstorming name ideas and things like that. And so I'm not sure
my
there would
follow-up
be
question was,
yeah, not sure there would be an
Was
Old
I'm-
Man and the Three if there was not for Travis. So there would be a podcast, but it might have a different name.
yes, everyone's always asking, who came up with that good name? Everyone's got to know who came up with that good name. And who knows? Who knows?
I
They
will just
must
say
have
you
been
were
paid
very,
a lot.
I will say you were very instrumental in the creative brainstorming of the show. And there are not many people. When we made those shoes, we only sent out 3 pairs of them. And not that is maybe your deserved payment for helping us brainstorm, but you got a pair of shoes that we're not going to make any more of. So that is for whatever the $9 you can get on Grailed for them. I feel like
Yeah, I'll wait like 5 years till once one of you guys gets canceled. I feel like it'll be worth more.
That's when you can actually bring them out, and it's a good party trick. Just be like, hey, look at these asshole sneakers.
Remember when Tommy committed vehicular manslaughter? Well, I have shoes he made. So I invited you on because you know a bit about sports in America. You know a bit about rivalries in American sports, and you're with us on a big week. I know you don't know very much about Major League Soccer or LAFC, but we're playing the LA Galaxy this week. It's our big rivalry game. It's called El Tráfico, which is the nickname for the rivalry. And I want to know, before we play a game all about that, where I'm going to try to convince you that this is one of the most important rivalries in America, what do you think are the biggest rivalries in sports in America?
I mean, I think it's the obvious ones. It's the Duke Carolina probably is still one of the biggest just because of the distance between them and also the lack of professional sports teams there. I think adds to it. I think there's a level of actual dislike between those campuses.
Yeah.
I think Yankees Red Sox has dulled over time. I mean, both teams have won too much. And so it just becomes, I mean, the fans still will talk shit and stuff like that. I think that is, and the NBA is a weird one because there are rivalries, but I think the rivalries happen in pockets of time. Like the Lakers and Kings used to be huge rivals. Now they're not. Maybe it'll happen
funny.
again. You know what I mean? Like the Warriors
Yeah.
and the Rockets were rivals. They're not rivals anymore. It's just as it matters who's on the specific teams. I think Philly Boston is a good one. I think Philly Boston's a good one because they've played a couple times in the playoffs recently. I just think the other thing with rivalries, which I don't know enough about El Tráfico to know if this is the case, but you have to have players that don't like each other, and if everybody likes each other, then I think it's just whatever. It's two good teams. It's like, who cares? And so you have to have a little spice to it. But I mean, those would sort of be the ones off the top of my head.
All right. So I invited you on to try to convince you that El Tráfico is one of the biggest rivalries in American sports. And I want to do that with a game. So here we go. I'll do a little intro. El Tráfico, the biggest rivalry in American club soccer, and the only thing interesting that has ever happened in the city of Carson. This game has been home to some incredible moments. Diego Rossi's 4 goals in one game, Zlatan's soul-crushing half-field shot moments after making his MLS debut, and of course, Chicho Arango scoring the game winner at the death in last year's playoffs before sprinting into the stands to kiss his wife, who no one has ever really pointed out was only wearing a bra in the stands of the game. But what makes a good rivalry is not just what happens on the field. Off the field antics matter too, and some of El Tráfico's best off the field moments are so funny and bizarre they seem scripted. In fact, we don't think you'll be able to tell what's real and what's fake in a game we're calling El Tráfico. You see what I did, Tommy?
Wow. Comedy writer.
That's almost
There it is.
It's almost as good as Old Man in the Three, don't you think?
That's why this guy's striking. Netflix is going to pay more for that.
Here's how it works. It's a lightning round game. I'll say an event that occurred not during play, so by the fans or players, but not during the game. And as fast as you can, you have to tell me whether it's a real moment in El Tráfico history, something fake that we wrote, or something written by ChatGPT. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, so you answer real, fake, or ChatGPT as fast as you can. Here we go. During a game at the LA Coliseum, LA Galaxy fans unfurled a giant banner that covered an entire section of the stadium featuring Zlatan Ibrahimovic riding a horse and wielding a sword.
Real.
ChatGPT. Galaxy fans put up billboards outside the LAFC stadium of Zlatan scoring on the team. LAFC fans reciprocated by climbing the billboard overnight and sticking a huge clown sticker on Zlatan's face.
Fake.
Real. In an effort to one-up the Galaxy's billboard stunt, LAFC fans flew a blimp over the stadium during the game, featuring a banner that read, "Zlatan is old news, Vela is the new king of New York."
Fake.
ChatGPT. The night before the 2021 El Tráfico, Galaxy fans burned an effigy of Carlos Vela, prompting some uber-religious fans to call Galaxy supporters Satanists.
Real.
Fake. In a post-game interview after a playoff victory against the Galaxy, LAFC coach Bob Bradley was upset by a question and stormed off camera yelling, "Get lost! Get lost!"
ChatGPT.
Real. A Galaxy fan walked straight through an LAFC tailgate holding an overstuffed cooler and promptly was surrounded by angry, drunk LAFC fans who knocked the cooler out of his hands, creating a weeks-long MLS scandal of drama known as Coolergate.
ChatGPT.
Real. At the first El Tráfico in Carson, LAFC fans showed up wearing camo and bulletproof vests, pretending to be army men invading. Everyone everywhere made fun of them for it.
Fake.
Real.
Jesus.
I made this really hard. During a match between the two teams, a flock of seagulls descended onto the field and refused to leave, causing the game to be abandoned.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's just a little weird. It was just
It's like they wouldn't abandon the game.
Yeah. An LAFC fan wore a Galaxy sweatshirt to get on the Jumbotron dance cam, only to reveal a shirt underneath that read, "Carson smells bad."
Fake.
Fake. Correct. 2 in a row.
Wow,
LAFC fans placed huge freeway banners on the drive from Carson to downtown LA that said, "Welcome to Los Angeles" and "Clowns since '96.
ChatGPT.
Real. After LAFC lost at home, Galaxy fans caught a video of a drunk LAFC fan pooping in the stands of the empty stadium. LAFC fans struck back by saying, "Actually, she was just peeing."
Real.
Real. That is correct.
Yeah, that seems like a real one. I thought it was fake until the end. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she was just peeing.
Yeah, I was like, no, that excuse is a real excuse people would make.
In a bizarre move, a group of LAFC fans brought a live shark to the match and attempted to release it onto the field. This led to a tense standoff between fans and security, and the match was eventually postponed.
Fake.
ChatGPT. Zlatan, one of the best players on earth, quit the MLS after losing in the playoffs to LAFC, his final MLS moment was grabbing his dick while walking off the field and yelling at an LAFC fan whose entire bald head, front and back, was painted like a gold soccer ball.
Real.
Real, that is correct. Soccer head,
I
we
heard
call
about
him.
that. I heard about that one.
Before every LAFC match, a falconer flies a falcon around the stadium. Whenever this happens during El Tráfico, Galaxy fans chant, "Fuck that bird," and it's literally the only thing they do that makes me genuinely angry.
Real.
Real, that is correct. I get furious that they say that to the bird.
I was like, if
Tommy,
ChatGPT put the I in there, I'd be like, that's a crazy thing to. I picked it up.
You've won the game. Yeah, you've won the game. How does it feel?
Yeah. Tough start, but you know what? This is a pretty crazy rivalry, and it's hard to know what the fuck is going on. So, like, I don't know. Also, the ChatGPT ones were tough. Like, that is it's pretty inventive.
I put the ones that sounded most real from them at the beginning, and then let the stupider ones ease in by the end.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So what do you think? Does it sound like a real rivalry to you?
I think so. It sounds like probably the best rivalry in LA. I know that.
For sure. That's definitely true. The games are always very tense, and at least like 3 fights break out. There's security separating fans. Like you're not allowed to intermingle.
Also, LA sports fans are underrated assholes. Like, especially Dodger fans. Like, they're super like aggressive and violent and shit. And so, like, when you combine 2 of them into one place, that's probably not a good mix.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like you're going to get a lot of... Dodgers Giants is another good one. That one is like dark, though. That's like a dark...
Someone got paralyzed, right?
No, somebody got like punched in the head and was brain dead. I don't even know what ended up happening.
Oh, right.
I think they died, but they like became very
they were
close
brain
to
dead
dying.
after that.
Yeah, there's like always every year someone gets knocked out in the parking lot. Like it's very grim to me. Like, it's just a baseball game. Just everybody calm down.
Well, let's hope that happens at this year's El Tráfico. I'm just kidding. Please don't have that happen. Tommy, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Just punch Travis.
Yeah, if you're gonna punch someone, just look for the blonde motherfucker.
Look for Travis. At least you'll make sure you get your money's worth. It'll be on the podcast the following week. I'll be the new co-host.
Thanks for being here, Tommy. Remind everyone where they can find you.
Old Man and 3, all podcast platforms, YouTube, anywhere really. Anywhere you get content, I guess.
Thanks so much for being here. When we come back, bet it and forget it.
And we're back. Oof, that last note. I love it. Now it's time for a segment called Bet It and Forget It.
Bet it and forget it.
Every week, Travis and I are going to end the show with a bet for this week's game. We make an outlandish prediction for that week, something that almost definitely will not happen, but could. Each week, we both put up $5. If no one hits, the money rolls over to the next week. Eventually, by the time someone's weird prediction comes true, they might win a good chunk of change.
But guess what, Darren?
What?
Last week, your bet became the very first bet in Happy Foot, Sad Foot history to officially fucking cash. Darren bet that over the course of the 2 games last week, the first leg of the Champions League against Vancouver and Austin, our goal differential would be over +5. I said it was outlandish enough. We agreed. Our goal differential was +6 in those games. Darren, are you ready to claim your prize?
I am.
Sir Darren Miller of Burbank, California, do you accept that reward of $80 American dollars?
I do.
It is my great honor to now bestow onto thee the Bet It and Forget It ceremonial Venmo. Darren, has thou Venmo been received?
It has. Wow, what an honor. I couldn't believe it. I don't know what to say. I'd like to thank myself. I thought of the bet. just to gloat for just a second, not only was it +6, Bouanga alone was +5.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a crazy bet if you said Bouanga would score 5 goals.
Yeah, should have.
He's good.
That guy.
I'm worried about him. Him. He's addicted, and I think it's getting worse.
He needs to get help as soon as the season's over, for sure. As soon as the playoffs are over and the tournaments
championship, and
everything.
also after we win the Champions League, the Club World Cup.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it'd be good if he was around for off-season training.
Maybe like in a few years. It's not going to kill him
It's a
right
good
away.
thing to do in retirement, I think, is
Yeah.
once you're ready to retire, just make sure that you get the help that you need.
Yeah, get clean from your goal-scoring addiction for sure.
Yeah. So now our bet pool reverts back to $10 for the week. Travis, do you have a bet?
I do have a bet, Darren, and I am very confident that it's going to come true. I know for a fact this is going to happen.
Okay.
My bet is that we're going to fucking destroy the galaxy. And as a result, Greg Vanney or Chris Klein will be fired from the LA Galaxy. One of them will be fired immediately in the week following the game. As a result of us, before we record the next podcast, the next preview episode,
when we have to
one of them will be fired. How do you feel about that?
Wow.
Is that outlandish enough?
I love it. Yes. It tickles the possibility perfectly. Honestly, it's not right that I won the bet. I love all of your bets.
Well, I will say,
and also the money that I won is going right back into all the money I owe you for all the expenses of this podcast.
I will say, no, you're not allowed. We have this is use it for whatever you
different debt. Well, yeah, we have different buckets of debt.
I want you to know, I feel weird about saying we're going to win by a lot because every time I express any confidence in this team on this podcast, we do terrible. So I'm going to say it's going to be a real hard game, but at the end, somehow we fucking demolish them. And then they fire either their coach or their front office.
You know, you were saying that your predictions about the Galaxy were off, but I remember in the preview episode, maybe the first episode, maybe not that episode, you also said this is Denny Bwanga's team.
I did say that.
Famously.
I said MVP candidate then.
I think he's on the list, my friends.
Well, what's your bet?
Okay, my bet is to just be real cocky. Last time it was +5 or more over the course of the week of the two games. I'm going to say they will get +5 or more in El Tráfico this game.
Oh my God, this is bad luck. It's bad luck that we're doing this.
Every bet is bad luck. We're going to bet for something bad to happen?
Yeah, it would be gross if we were like, Galaxy are going to fucking rip us.
Yeah. And then oops, I won. That would be so gross. You know what's funny? You know what I really love about this is that fucking weird shit that we didn't bet on is happening. We had a fan on the pitch.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's stuff straight out of
I forgot
the
that we bet
that we should be betting on and we're missing.
What we should do is
we had the double post goal. That feels like something we could have bet on.
Soon a plane is going to land on didn't we say? Oh, there was going to be an aircraft crash.
Zlatan's going to fly into the stadium on those on a wingsuit and play in the game.
All right, well, we shall see. That is our show.
Just a reminder, we'll be live streaming the post-game show 10 minutes after both games.
Nope, after both games, just one game. Didn't change it.
I'm so used to saying both games.
I know.
Oh, what a grueling season for podcasters. I mean, just a reminder, we'll be live streaming a post-game show 10 minutes after, but it's still written there.
Yeah, I just assumed you would remember that you fucked it up last time.
Just a reminder, we'll be live streaming the post-game show.
You have to leave all of this in. I want people to know how incompetent you are at fucking reading words out loud.
Just a reminder.
Just a reminder, we'll be live streaming a post-game show 10 minutes after a game on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@happyfootsadfoot. There's a link in the show notes. Darren, want to try the next sentence?
Just let the record show Travis said after a game, which is also weird. Talk to us in the chat if you wanted to call in to talk. We'll post a link to join us in the remote studio. You can join the live stream. It's ridiculous that we let anyone do that. Of course, the people who join are wonderful, but truly anyone on the internet could find that link and join. Who knows what they'll do? Although everyone who does join,
stop giving people ideas.
which is terrible.
We want to say on the record, we make a lot of jokes about you driving while calling in. Don't do it. Please,
Passenger
for legal
seat
reasons.
only.
You can do it from the passenger seat. You could be parked. But if you're driving, Kellen Parker, don't do it. Because if you crash, we are liable.
Also, no one wants to see that happen because we love him.
Yeah, but
because it's
I'm
gruesome
worried about myself.
aesthetically to see on the.
Yeah.
Not that we set the perfect example on this, by the way.
Yeah.
We're just do as we say, not as we do.
I want to thank Tommy Alter for joining us this week. Our theme music is done by the insane team of James Valentine, Nate Walcott, and Louis Palmer. Along with YouTube, you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and I think Facebook. I'm not on it, but Darren mentions it every once in a while. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and review the podcast 5 stars. It goes a long way to getting us new listeners. And if you have any friends who you think might enjoy the podcast, please send it their way. We're doing this entirely on our own dime. I just gave Darren $40. So any new listeners will go a long way.
Thanks again. We'll see you in Carson, baby.
I'll see you in Vegas, baby. I love you.
Oh, I love you. Goodbye.
Oh, it'd be funny if I showed up in Vegas. I love you. Good night.
That'd be awesome.
Sleep tight. Good night. I love you.
Ooh, don't show up in my hotel room.
Don't let the bed bugs bite like my hotel in Trumbull, Connecticut, where I saw bed bugs. Bye.
Oh, bye. Goodbye.
Love you.
I love you.